Well, I'm back again with more thoughts on the Rolling Stones in mono box set now that I've had a chance to live with it for a while. If you watch the much longer video that was more in depth and went through the whole set, which is linked below, and read through the blog, which is linked below, then you'll have most of the information on this. There's a few things that I wanted to add now that I've lived with the set for a while. First thing, I'll try and go in order here. The first album, the Rolling Stones, English New Hit Makers, as it was released in the U.S., I'd mentioned that they didn't reproduce the photo that came with it originally, and I showed a picture of it, of what that was. And in retrospect, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not that broken up about it, because the photo, as you may know, is essentially this image. Nothing real special about it. The photo that comes with Let It Bleed, different story. But this photo, I'm not as annoyed that this didn't come with the original photo. Next up, their next British album, Rolling Stones #2, I realized, and I had this in the blog, I just forgotten when I was making the video, all but 2 of these songs are available in the rest of the box set. So again, this is the cover that was used for 12x5, so it's not as though we were going to miss the cover. The songs are all elsewhere. They really could have just added those 2 songs to Stray Cats and saved us a piece of vinyl. Out of Our Heads, there was a whole thing I went back and forth about. I liked the cover of the British Out of Our Heads, but all of those songs were on the rest of the set. This is the American version. And having listened to it more, I'm even more fervent that they should have just included this. This is a great snapshot of Rolling Stones 1965. It was their first #1 album in America. It's got Satisfaction. It's got a great cover, which I don't think is duplicated anywhere else in the set. So I'm really, really even more baffled why they included the British version, which the cover of the British version is the same as December's Children, which had to be included in here for completeness. So again, complete waste with that, especially considering how great this is. And listening to it, I was surprised by how much better it sounds than I remembered, than any other version I've heard. So this, I mentioned in the other video, Aftermath and Beggar's Banquet, sound phenomenal. This is near phenomenal, the way it sounds. The only thing holding it back, some of the cuts were clearly recorded not under the best conditions. The biggest example, which is almost bothersome, is right at the beginning. The album starts out with Mercy Mercy, you know, and then it goes right into Hitchhike, which is a killer 1-2 punch, except Hitchhike, the sound is so much weaker than Mercy Mercy. Mercy Mercy kicks. That thing, that kicks like a mule on this album. And last thing I wanted to mention, I mentioned in the other video this was a fold down, which I'm still positive it is. I grew up as a musician, and I went to school initially to become a recording engineer, record producer, so I know how to listen for these things, and I've got pretty good turntable and amplifier and speaker setup. So having listened to this album has been tattooed on my brain since I was about 12 years old when I first heard it in the 90s. And it's one of my favorite Stones album, and having listened to it, I'm even more fervent that this is a fold down. However, whatever tape they were using when they did the fades, they can't do it exactly the same as the stereo because, you know, it's not a robot doing it. So there's a couple songs, namely You Got the Silver and I think Country Honk, where there's maybe a split second of extra sound at the end as they're fading out. Not a major difference. On Monkey Man as well. Not nearly the difference that I would expect. That these mono original albums were going for hundreds and hundreds of dollars before this set. So I don't know that that was worth it at all, especially since it's a fold down. I will say, and I don't think I was clear enough on this, this sounds incredible as well. This, and I'd say tops in the set are Aftermath and Beggar's Banquet for sound quality, followed by this and Out of Our Heads. Some of the others, like Between the Buttons, the sound has always been excellent on the pressings I've heard, so that's not as big a challenge. But the Let It Bleed, the sound quality is excellent, and I hope I made that clear in the last video, and I'm doing it now. And lastly, I realized I forgot to show this in the other video. This, when the box is shrink wrapped, the back, as I may have shown you, is white. And when it's shrink wrapped, this is on the back, and it's still got a little bit of sticky tack on it, which I'll remove at some point. But this is just a nice encapsulation of what's in the box, you know, for advertising purposes. But I saved this because it's pretty cool looking. It's like a nice little poster. The Beatles box, which I've also got now the video posted, has a similar thing, but it wraps around this entire piece, and then the back of it looks like this and has the Beatles album. So, oh, and one thing, the whole thing that made me want to do this in the first place, I can't believe I forgot. The saga of the song Tell Me. So I went into this before. Stay with me. The song Tell Me was recorded for this album. They put it out, and very quickly they brought the album back and they repressed it with a different take entirely of Tell Me. That was much longer. It was a completely different recording. It wasn't a different mix, different recording altogether, and it ends very abruptly. The rumor is, I think Mick said, everyone was drunk at that session, or Keith might have said that. And that's the version of Tell Me that we've had ever since. Other issues, the American issue might fade it earlier, edit something, but for the most part, they're all based on that second, much longer take that, in its natural form, just stops abruptly. So the original 2-minute and 52-second Tell Me on very first pressings of this would have been nice if they'd included that, but they didn't. I mentioned in the other video that the German Rest of the Best box set collects together a lot of rare stuff and stray cuts, as Stray Cats does, but it's also got a song on there called Tell Me, twice. And it's not the original version and then the later version. It's a completely different song, a blues song, Tell Me, and it was recorded at Chess. And that's the only place on that box set to find that. Along with, I had mentioned there's Schoolboy Blues, Do Ron Ron, Memphis, Tennessee, and then Mick's version of Memo from Turner. Those are all in that German Rest of the Best box set. They are not anywhere in here. So it'd be nice, if you get your hands on one of those, you can include those songs in your collection. But that recording of Tell Me is a completely different song than the two versions that were on here. And that's another mysterious piece of the Rolling Stones puzzle that we've uncovered. So those are final thoughts on the Rolling Stones in mono, what's there, what isn't. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for all your comments on the original video, and I hope you get a lot of comments on this, and maybe we'll find some more Stones music that we didn't know was out there.